Taipei has just released Arc 8 Chapter 36, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. The Imperial capital was overtaken by zombies. A better name for the Imperial capital would be to call it the Corpse City. Owl continues his solitary search for Priscilla. Usually, if you are looking for someone, you could just ask people. However, everyone around was undead who would attack you. Cecilus says just because you meet someone who is living doesn't mean that they will help you in any way. Owl swears as he hangs from the edge of the roof, dangling 5 stories up. The reason Owl was in this position was because he was called to the edge by Cecilus and then kicked over by Cecilus. Cecilus says that just because Owl didn't fall head first when he was kicked means that Owl has a very good reaction time, in fact better reactions than the boss. Cecilus then says he won't help Owl. Owl hearing this isn't that bummed out. After all, Owl was fighting a strong enemy and then Cecilus saved him and now he was hanging on the edge of the roof. Owl says that is fine, after all he's used to doing things alone. He then lets go of the roof. Cecilus is shocked. Owl drops 15 meters downwards. A superhuman would be able to land this with no issue, but Owl is a normal human, so he would be crushed like a tomato upon hitting the floor. The floor was wet cobblestone, nothing to soften the blow. However, Owl, as he's falling, kicks off the wall towards an adjacent window on the opposite side of the street. With perfect timing, he kicks off the wall and lands in the window, shattering it and landing into the room as he rolls in. Owl is of course cut by the glass, however he suffered no dangerous injuries. He checks his body before moving on. Owl jokes that he doesn't have his left hand. However, he shortly pulls out his blue dragon sword. After all, with the large shattering sound of the glass window, undead would be coming to him. The first undead shatters through the door and Owl easily slices their head off. He then proceeds to use the headless corpse as a shield against the second undead which comes into the room with a spear. However, that doesn't work out, as the headless corpse that Owl is using as a shield shatters into pottery, and the spear penetrated its torso, pierced Aldebaran. Owl will remember this technique, and remember that you cannot use an undead as a shield after receiving a fatal wound to the chest. The scene changes. Owl slashes his sword, decapitating the first undead, and then using the head as a football, he kicks it at the second undead, the one with the spear. He then uses Dona to seal and prevent the undead from using the spear as a weapon. Owl then uses Dona multiple times, crushing the second undead against the corridor wall. One more left. The final undead was a strong warrior with a huge battle axe, and he was a cyclops with a golden eye. Owl could tell that the strength of this individual was a lot stronger than the first 2 undead enemies. Owl decided to go through the window he entered. Can he make it? Owl then ran towards the window, however his back was cleaved into 2 and his guts redecorated the walls. The scene changes. The first undead charges into the room and Owl decapitates him before killing the second undead. He now had to face this member of the Cyclops tribe with the battle axe. By the way, editor's note, I believe this Cyclops is actually Ishmael. I think it's hinted that this is Ishmael, by the way. The scene changes. I didn't think you would be able to beat that Cyclops undead. Owl then proceeds to respond to Cecilus by calling him an arsehole. Cecilus berates Owl for defeating the undead in such a way. We see that Owl is covered in wounds and he just stands there as he leaves the house, leaning against the wall. Cecilus, however, says that in 100 attempts out of 100, the Cyclops enemy should have won and Owl should have died. That's what he determines. Owl then asks Cecilus, what is he saying? Owl then asks Cecilus, is he dead? or not? Because after all, he is alive. Al says that in 100 attempts, Al would die. But what if Al was able to pull out 100 attempts? 102? What about 200 attempts? Al would be able to pull an upset, a coup de grace. Cecilus asks Al if he is wrong. By the way, so what Al is saying is that in 100 out of 100 times, Al would die. So what if Al somehow, like, say for example, if there's like 1% chance of Al winning, right? Cecilus believes Al has some sort of ability that allows him to pull that 1% chance of winning out of the bag. So that's what he's essentially saying. Cecilus asks Al if he is wrong. Al is panting and he focuses on himself. He is afraid of Cecilus. He doesn't really understand Cecilus's words or actions. Cecilus shares the same name as the strongest person in Karairagi, the Blue Lightning, but he is a lot shorter. Al believes that maybe Cecilus is under the effect of Obart's infantilization, similar to how he and Subaru were affected by it. Cecilus asks Al why he doesn't answer. Is it because he can't answer, or because he doesn't want to? Cecilus believes that Al has something that allows him to pull the trigger, and wonders if it will work on him. In that case, against Cecilus is not 1 in 10,000, but 1 in a billion, or a trillion. However, if there's a chance, then ... Aldebaran tells Cecilus to not dig into his charm, or else he will regret it. Cecilus says how dare he speak to him like that, but then says he doesn't dislike it. In fact, Cecilus likes it quite a lot actually. Al sighs. Then he believes it's a lot to take in, but it's time to finally move on. Al then mutters to himself, area release, then redeploy, thought experiment, rerun. Before Cecilus can do anything, Al redefines the matrix once set up. There are many repercussions due to the frequency and scale of the matrix, but he has to do everything to get Priscilla back. Al then says verbally he will do everything he can, but as he speaks, Cecilus disappears and then kicks Al to the floor. Aldebaran then says, why did you do that? But Cecilus points to the wall behind where Al was standing, and there's a giant hole in the wall. Al says the word sniper, and then Aldebaran's vision blurs as Cecilus grabs him by the waist and starts running. Streets go by in a blur as Al feels the G-force of moving super fast. The rule of snipers is to stay still, however that wasn't the case here. Whatever the sniper was chasing Cecilus and Al at a high speed as they dashed through the city. Cecilus jumps, ducks and moves left and right to avoid the attack whilst carrying Aldebaran. Al determines that Cecilus is dodging by instinct. Cecilus says he's faced this guy before, and the guy doesn't let Cecilus get close. Cecilus then jumps into the air, heading towards 3 buildings, but the buildings are then shot by the sniper and they start crumbling. As Cecilus lands on the roof of the crumbling building with Aldebaran, Al verbally says that he's going to redefine his area. Cecilus and Al crash through the ceiling, however, at this insane speed, they can escape before the building collapses. To escape from the collapsing building, we see that Cecilus landed on the ceiling and then proceeded to jump up again in the air. The buildings below collapse and explode. We see that the ensuing destruction, Cecilus's leg is blown off. In the air, Cecilus locates the sniper to the left, and then he uses Aldebaran's body as a springboard and kicks off Al and heads towards the enemy. Aldebaran knows that Cecilus is 100 times stronger than Al, even with losing a leg. However, Cecilus has to be in a perfect condition. Aldebaran brings the blue dragon sword to his neck, and with no hesitation, he swings forcefully. The scene changes. Aldebaran tells Cecilus to go to the building on the right, Cecilus changes direction and follows. Cecilus lands in the rightmost building, and Aldebaran tells Cecilus to pick up the box. Cecilus grabs it and passes it to Aldebaran as the building crumbles around him. Cecilus climbs to the top of the building and then jumps off the roof. As Cecilus jumps, Aldebaran drops the box and then uses Donut on the box, which causes the box, which contains a lot of magic crystals, to explode. This explosion is not to distract the sniper. After all, the sniper will still be able to hit them through the smoke and debris. However, Cecilus is able to use the smoke and debris to his advantage. A bullet fires out, cutting off Cecilus's hair, and Cecilus's cheek is grazed. The reason for the smoke and fire was that any bullets headed towards them would have to pass through the smoke first. Cecilus would be able to see this disturbance in the smoke and then be able to dodge the incoming bullet. This way, Cecilus wouldn't lose his leg or limb. Al prepares for the next stage as he's ready to redeploy his matrix. However, Al's vision changes as the clouds themselves that covered the sky of the city were broken apart in 3 separate locations, almost as if they were cut through with a sword. The sniper attacking Cecilus and Aldebaran had retreated away from these attacks. Cecilus, holding on to Al, sees this is happening, and someone, a swordsman in the distance, chastises the sniper for running away, stating that this is such fine swordsmanship. We see that this swordsman is standing on the building a bit further down. Al wonders who this swordsman is, but Cecilus says that he looks a lot older than the last time he's seen him, calling the man his father. Aldebaran says, "Father?" And with that word, Al is feeling a bit weird. Now Cecilus's dad will join them, and Al wonders what will happen next. And with that, the chapter ends. So yeah, it seems like, really good chapter. I really liked it. And it seems Cecilus's dad is here, which I believe is supposed to be Rowan, but of course, which means that if it's Rowan, that means Heinkel and also Groovy will be in the city as well.